What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today when I talk to you on Lucid, I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what's really happening behind the scenes, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So right now, Lucid is down 0.85%. Right as I'm doing this video, you do see some signs of manipulation, so I'm going to talk all about that and why market makers do not want it to close above 350. Aside from that though, 19.8 million shares have been traded. We are currently in power hour, about 25 minutes left in the trading day. 45.07 million is the average for the volume. No official news from Lucid today, no SEC filings, so it has been rather quiet on that front. As far as this though, there was some new stats that did come out. So it does show for December 2023, again, that's the most updated stats, but global electric car sales. And so technically on a global scale, things went up 40% year over year, huge. And so ultimately that does show, despite the higher inflation and whatever else, the demand for EVs is still there. So I think that's kind of a good thing. China sales are up 46%. Europe is down 29%. I did bring up these stats in my recent NEO video, and someone did cite the fact that I guess Germany did cut a lot of their incentives. So that's maybe correlated with this downtrend right now. And then the States is up 42%. So a lot of demand locally. Lucid just needs to get their stuff together and hopefully have a lower price vehicle sooner rather than later. And that way they can capitalize on the market share and whatever else. So I think generally speaking, locally things are moving in the right direction, and hopefully they do have additional updates for, I guess, the Middle East. That way we can kind of see exactly everything that does encumber where Lucid delivers. But over and above that though, the reason why Lucid did have a nice pop first thing was associated to this. So revised US December CPI gives Fed a little bit more breathing room. So they kind of bumped it from 0.3 to now 0.2. So generally speaking, that is a good thing. As a result of this, you had a huge, immense amount of money flowing into equities, $292.24 billion exactly. So a lot of big money is moving into equities, pushing stocks higher. And this is how you had that nice boost first thing with Lucid. But you do have some signs of manipulation as usual. So right now shorts are increasing about 509,000 shares. 31.17% of the free float is being shorted. 275.93 million shares overall are being shorted. And cost of borrow average is 31.85. So you do see some signs of manipulation. I don't know if whoever is shorting is a market maker or not. But when it comes down to options, let's talk on that for a second. So right now you do see $1.32 million in calls being purchased versus 536,000 in puts. Sentiment wise, 48% of all the options being done so far are optimistic and bullish. So that does work out to be about $588,000 worth. So generally that's kind of a good thing. But moving on though, looking at some of the call options that are being purchased, there is a consensus for it to be above $4 by the end of next week. So kind of matching with the Elliott wave technicals as I have been bringing up over the last couple of videos. But with Lucid right now kind of stuck in limbo, you are seeing it being suppressed. So like I kind of mentioned at the very beginning, you are seeing at like in real time manipulation, because looking at the open interest, market makers do not want to ever cover options. So for instance, if a call option is being exercised and it's in the money, technically market makers have to cover that. And when it comes down to very volatile stocks or spec plays such as Lucid and many other volatile stocks, they don't have that stock on hand. So they have to go to the secondary market to purchase that. So whenever you see some options get expired in the money, you usually see a nice bump up in the stock price. But at the same time, market makers don't want to do that. So they would rather short it and suppress it right below this. So I wouldn't be surprised if Lucid does close today at $3.49 exactly, because right now there is about 19,000 in open interest at the 350 strike price. Again, market makers don't want to go out onto the open market and cover those 19,000, and each option does equate to 100 shares. So again, just keep that in mind. So they would rather short it or potentially speculative, of course, they would rather have someone short it below that 350 mark. That way they don't have to cover anything. So you do see a lot of manipulation that is happening. It's very sad to see, especially considering Lucid did start very, very strong. So it had a nice bump up to roughly, it looks like $3.66 range. So once again, hopefully next week, bigger and better things might be coming. Looking at puts though, it seems to be all over the place, but there is a consensus for it to be below $3 by the end of next week. So not necessarily the best. These are some of the transactions that have occurred on the secondary market above $100,000 so far. So in comparison to the last couple days, very low. But like I kind of mentioned at the very beginning, just big money isn't necessarily getting into Lucid today based on the volume as well. As far as right now, looking at some of the fib levels, with it at $3.48, it is between this pivot and this R1. So right now, this $3.40 mark, so that pivot point has held fairly well. It did bounce off of that, in fact, today, so that was the low. So of course that is a very good sign, shows very strong support. Vice versa, $4.07 is going to be that next strong resistance that you'll want to watch for Lucid to break above. Very wide gap in between a lot of these fib levels, so there is going to be a hell of a lot of volatility. So I think market makers will want it to close below 350 for at least today and this week, and then hopefully going into next week, there's still going to be a continuation of a lot of money coming into equity, causing a lot of stocks higher and bigger, better things. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. This was just a very quick summary on exactly some of the data points and whatever else. On a side note, why do you think that Europe has been down, I guess, consecutive months? The last data point that did come out showed that European sales, EV sales, are down 2%, and then now 29%. So is something up in Europe, or like, I don't know, what's your thoughts? Or do you think that it's associated to the whole German incentives being cut? I know a little bit further of a breakdown of this 29%. A lot of that did come from Norway. So I don't know, what's your thoughts on all that? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing I just wanted to share with you, take advantage of this promo with Moomoo. As I always say, simply sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. So take advantage of this promo, one of the best deals in the market. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.